Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Most trusted, now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, millions are bracing for snow and bitter cold temperatures, and we're getting our first look at new evidence in the case against Luigi Mangione. We begin with the wintry weather, snow, followed by dangerous cold sweeping across the Great Lakes region, impacting drivers and even the NFL, and relentless rain in the Pacific Northwest, multiple inches of rain expected every day this week. Our weather team times it all out. Next, the Trump administration faces increased calls to release video of the second attack on an alleged drug boat that killed two survivors. The Secretary of Defense is now hesitating and defending the strikes. At least one Democrat who's seen the footage says the attack may have violated international law, while some Republicans say it was just. Also tonight, newly released evidence from the Luigi Mangione case, including a to-do list, a bus ticket under an apparently false name, and video that authorities say allegedly showed him walking toward insurance CEO Brian Thompson after Thompson's chaos in the cockpit. The audio revealing the frantic moments after an off-duty pilot tried to cut the engines of a passenger plane in mid-flight.
We got a jump here, just trying to shut our engines off.
It's one of the largest settlements for a killing by police in U.S. history. One city's agreement to pay $30 million to the family of a teenager shot and killed by an officer while running away from someone else. Shocking footage of a car crossing into the path of an oncoming train, and this story's remarkable ending. The dramatic eruption at this country's most active volcano, fountains of lava seen shooting 100 feet into the air. Championship weekend, who made the college football playoff, which big-name team was left out and decided to end its season, plus history is made in racing and by one of the greatest to ever play the game of soccer. And America's drum tonight. The holiday spirit returns less than a year after a devastating fire.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever, and we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars, and we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people.
President Trump says to expect $2,000 refund checks next year using the revenue generated from tariffs. This as the Congressional Budget Office recently set tariff revenue projections, while the Supreme Court will soon rule on the president's emergency powers authority that he used to impose them. For more, let's bring in U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate your time this morning.
Happy to be here. Good to see you.
You too. So, Secretary Bessent said that basically if the Supreme Court case does not go the administration's way, they do have a backup plan. He said, quote, "We can recreate the exact tariff structure with sections 301, 232, and 122, meaning that if the emergency powers are found to be invalid, you can basically recreate what you're doing now with these other mechanisms." But my question to you is, will that outcome, will that case at all upend the president's promise to issue Americans dividend checks as part of tax refund season?
Well, what I would say is that tariffs are going to be part of the policy landscape. They are now. They will be going forward. It's real revenue. So I think that, the president, between the tax bill, the increased tax base we expect, and the tariff revenue, I think that the president's plans to, find a way to provide some of that wealth back to Americans, I think he'll find a way to get that on track. I don't know what the specific, final number will be, et cetera. But I think that the economy is growing at such a rate, and the tariff program will continue such that the president will have lots of options.
How realistic is it, though, that people will actually be getting checks, tariff dividend checks, when they file their taxes? I mean, that's right around the corner. January is next month. Deadline's in April. That could be just a few months from now. If you were
sure,
taking him at his word.
A lot of sure, understood, right? I think that right now what the White House is looking at is what would be the appropriate amount of any kind of rebate, right? Again, we've had years of trade deficits where other countries are getting a net benefit. Time for our people to get a net benefit. There's a question about do you need legislation to do it? Some of this is essentially the Treasury Department, right? I put on tariffs, I can remove them, I can do deals. Secretary Bess and the Treasury, they kind of have the pot of money over there, and they work with Congress on how to allocate it and that kind of thing. I think your questions are the right ones to be asking, and it's under consideration in the White House right now.
Okay, great. Separately, on these, the trade framework, we've had some anecdotal evidence showing that potentially the job market could be weakening. You had the ADP releases coming out this week, but Kevin Hassett simultaneously pointed to 2 quarters of GDP growth and industrial production at an all-time high. But you're deep in these, trade negotiations, and I want to ask you, when do you think that that's going to translate to real economic growth? Are we going to see that in the numbers in 2026, or might it be 2027?
Well, we already see it now, as Kevin pointed out, and we'll see it next year too. First of all, in addition to the just GDP growth overall that Kevin mentioned, which of course some of that happens because of fewer imports, right? That's generated by the tariff structure. But we're also seeing an increase in real incomes, and that's really what we're getting at fundamentally with the trade program, is reshoring more jobs here. We're seeing industrial production continue at high levels. We're seeing good levels of capital goods expenditure.
Sunday night, travel turbulence. Air Transit cancels flights as its pilots prepare to strike, leaving holiday travel plans up in the air. Canadian veterans paying for the government's mistake.
Some of these veterans are fragile.
Why some are on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars in overpaid benefits. A nightclub fire in a popular resort region of India kills dozens, including tourists. Plus, how a BC university student is caring for children grappling with grief.
It's not always as easy or natural for all kids.
With the help of some furry friends.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin with a labor dispute that could upend Canadians' holiday travel plans. Pilots at Air Transit have given notice that they are preparing to go on strike on Wednesday. As a result, the Canadian airline now says it will begin grounding flights starting tomorrow and suspend all service as of Tuesday, unless a last-minute deal can be reached. Mike Armstrong reports on the negotiations between the two sides and the travelers caught in the middle.
It's business as usual for now. Air Transat pilots advising the airline they'll walk off the job Wednesday. The company says it has to start shutting down, meaning passengers heading out Sunday for tropical weather don't know if their return flights are going to happen. Cancellations may be coming. This woman says she'll take the risk and hope if a strike happens, it doesn't last long.
I mean, we've left so long ago, and we've been waiting for this for a long time, so we'll just deal with it.
Now, the two sides said they are still negotiating, hoping to avoid a work stoppage, but the heat is getting turned up. In a statement Sunday, the company says the union is being reckless and unreasonable. The airline says 700 pilots negotiated their last collective agreement a decade ago. Lasted 5 years, was extended a few times, and then expired this past March. They've been negotiating ever since. In its statement Sunday, Air Transat says it's made, quote, generous offers to the pilots, but that the union has shown no openness. The airline says it's offered a complete overhaul of the collective agreement that includes major improvements to pilots' working conditions and a 59% salary increase over 5 years.
Unfortunately, that is inaccurate.
The chair of the pilots union says 59% isn't on the table and that he's surprised it's being thrown out publicly. Captain Bradley Small says the two sides are still far apart on issues like pensions, benefits, and compensation, but that he'd prefer to keep the bargaining private.
I'm not going to throw ridiculous numbers out. It's not responsible on my part.
Now, as it prepares to cancel flights, Air Transat says it's trying to be more flexible with passengers. Anyone traveling in the next 5 days can change or postpone their trip with no charge. Mike Armstrong, Global News.
Morning at 6 o'clock on Monday, the 8th of December. These are your headlines. Sky News speaks to 3 women found by NHS Trust during their pregnancies who say they were ignored and made to feel expendable.
I can't think of a more powerful statement of how society values women than how it treats them at the most vulnerable moment of their lives.
Volodymyr Zelensky prepares for Downing Street talks today, but is criticised by Donald Trump for holding up his peace proposal.
Russia is, I believe, fine with it, but I'm not sure that Zelensky is fine with it. His people love it, but he hasn't read it.
Former UK denies Nigel Farage has broken electoral law over allegations he falsified election expenses. And at 6:40 he was making the headlines in today's papers with Sophia Alexandra Hall, Deputy Digital Editor at The Big Issue. Very good morning to you. Sky News has spoken to women about their experiences after suffering traumatic births at separate NHS Trust hospitals. One patient said they felt no one listened, another that they were entirely expendable, and a third felt they didn't matter. They're not alone. Maternity care is increasingly under the microscope with a nationwide investigation looking at failings at 14 NHS trusts dating back more than 15 years. Independent reviews have revealed a pattern of systemic problems, of safety concerns overlooked, of women's voices being ignored. Now, those affected have sat down with Sky News determined to be heard. A warning: you may find the following distressing.
It felt weird, like it was like something's wrong with my left arm. Like I feel like in my chest. I'm like, something's wrong. I'm like, oh, I think I'm having a heart attack or something. And I thought, oh no, something's not right. I'm gonna die if they don't listen to me. And of course, no one's listening to me at that point. So I was basically dying, and they hadn't realized how much blood I had lost.
Africa News. The news.
Benin's President Patrice Talon has thanked army leaders for helping to defeat an attempted military coup. Benin's President Patrice Talon has thanked army leaders for helping to an attempted military coup. Soldiers themselves, the T Foundation took over stated the Minister of Interior takeover attempt had been foiled. Talon addressed the nation on Sunday evening.
Je voudrais ici saluer le sens du devoir.
I would like to commend the sense of duty of our army and its leaders who remained Republican and loyal to the nation.
Avec eux, nous avons fait front.
With them, we stood firm, recaptured our positions, and cleared the last pockets of resistance from the mutineers. This commitment and mobilization allowed us to thwart those adventurers and save our country. This treachery will not go unpunished. 13 soldiers arrested to local media, but it's unclear whether the coup leader, Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigre, was among them. M23 rebels, supported by the Rwandan army, are continuing their advance in the South Kivu region of the DR Congo, local sources say. On Saturday, the rebels took control of the strategic town of Luvungi, near the border with Burundi, and several surrounding villages. Thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes as the fighting intensifies. A spokesperson for the Congolese armed forces told the news that groups with them to avoid damage and to protect civilians. In a statement, the army said that shells fired from inside Rwanda had hit communities in the Ruzizi plain, killing civilians and destroying schools, health centers, and homes. Independent forces say the rebels are now advancing towards the town of Uvira. The escalation in fighting comes just days after the leaders of the DRC and Rwanda met with US President Trump in Washington and reaffirmed their commitment to an earlier peace plan signed in June. The pact between Felix Tshisekedi and Paul Kagame followed intensive efforts by the US and other partners, including the African Union and Qatar. The United States and Rwanda have signed a $228 million agreement aimed at strengthening Rwanda's health sector while promoting long-term financial self-reliance. The deal was announced on Friday, hours after Rwandan leader Paul Kagame and the DRC's Felix Tshisekedi reaffirmed their commitment to a US-brokered peace plan. Under the new health agreement, the US will allocate $158 million to help Rwanda combat infectious diseases, including HIV and malaria. Kigali will increase its domestic health investment by $70 million as evidence of its commitment, according to the US State Department. Below the weekend. The Warriors at 18 youth detention facility. Firms for nationals. Hello, welcome to AC News. Listen, Katie will have to treat on the authorities confirmed the man with almost 30 years of experience with National Parks and Wildlife suffered a cardiac arrest after being fired last night. Fight work was being conducted as a dealer that torn through
spread deep that organisation today. The lot is fight fires. And we are a very close team. The work that our parks firefighters do is inherently dangerous, and we work incredibly hard to ensure that our firefighters are safe. It's a huge loss.
Fires still burning across New South Wales. Recovery efforts underway some areas with authority. Most 19 homes have been destroyed and 40 damaged after a bushfire tore coastal community. Today was a reporter feed is at Narong Castle on the New South Wales mid-north coast.
We're here just off the Pacific Highway in Narong, about an hour north of Castle in New South Wales.
Latest unwind calling fate. Ban disputes China's version of a weekend incident involving the two countries' military aircraft, saying it did not disrupt the Chinese Navy's flight training. Xing calls Tokyo's account inconsistent. Fact. Shares in India's big airline Indigo sliding sharply, extending losses into the 7th straight session as the company reels from a pilot shortage that has triggered mass flight cancellations and travel chaos.
Cambodia. Thousands of civilians on both sides of the disputed border flee the violence or shelter in place. Tensions kept simmering despite a truce signed just a few months ago. Also coming up. Benin's President Patrice Talon says he's in control after an attempted military coup. Rebellious troops in the West African country had earlier declared the end of his rule. And Syrians celebrate 1 year since the fall of the Assad dictatorship, but the new leader, Ahmed al-Shara, is struggling to rebuild an economy shattered by years of civil war. Welcome to the program. I'm Nicole Fröhlich. We start with breaking news from Southeast Asia. Clashes have erupted along the disputed border between Thailand and Cambodia once again, with both countries accusing each other of attacking first.
Watching Daybreak on France 24, these are the headlines. Airstrikes on the border of Thailand and Cambodia as disputes over land erupt once more. Both sides accusing the other of opening fire first. Deaths reported including 2 Thai police officers and 3 Cambodian civilians. The president of Benin says order has been restored after a coup attempt was foiled. This after soldiers had taken to national TV announcing that they had ousted Patrice Talon from office. Neighbouring Nigeria is sending troops in response to his call for help. A year since his
Thank you for watching Ahmed Shakil 5858. I am Ahmed Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.